máquina deportiva y los deportes tú acabó con todo. La máquina deportiva live.com. Hockey, fútbol, lucha libre con patada, baloncesto, béisbol, boxeo y mucho más. Las noticias del deporte bien actualizado, entrevista y opinión y todos los resultados. Oniel Batista anotó un touchdown, bateando 400 te deja noqueado. Más que Kobe Bryant, él está donkeando. La máquina deportiva a mí me está gustando. En los deportes de la máquina informativa, enciende Oniel, la máquina deportiva y los deportes tú acabó con todo. La máquina deportiva live.com. Hawaii. Esta es la máquina deportiva. Oniel Batista, mete mano. Vamos al perreo. Aguacate. A nivel de Jaina.com. La máquina deportiva live.com.
Un saludo cordial a todos los que sintonizan la máquina deportiva PodCast. Yo soy Oniel Batista, como siempre. Estoy aquí para traerles las informaciones deportivas. Quiero empezar felicitando a la comunidad puertorriqueña, porque hoy es un día grande. Hoy es el día de Roberto Clemente. Todos los jugadores puertorriqueños usarán el número 21 gracias a las Grandes Ligas, al igual que la familia Clemente, que le permitió usar este número en este día con motivo de que en un futuro se pueda retirar, como el de Jackie Robinson, el número 21 del gran Roberto Clemente. Por otro lado, Juan Soto regresa y decide de victoria a los nacionales, y Aníbal vuelve a ganar a Aníbal Sánchez. Ustedes saben, los nacionales, los campeones del año pasado vencieron 5-3 a los Rayados de Tampa Bay. Por otro lado, Minnesota vuelve a ser de la suya con el poderío de Nelson Cruz y Miguel Sanó yéndose para las calles. Minnesota demuestra el poderío y que quiere seguir ganando la división. Hay una incertidumbre de tristeza de parte de Alex Rodríguez y J-Lo por la compra del equipo de los Metropolitanos de Nueva York, ya que perdieron la puja. En estos días hay desprecio, te digo, hay un malestar en la vida de Alex Rodríguez y J-Lo. Por otro lado, en la NBA, Bill Donovan no seguirá con los Thunder. O sea, no regresará el coach a dirigir esa franquicia. Por otro lado, Sergio Ibaka no está disponible para el partido de hoy, el número 5. Así que arranca la máquina deportiva PodCast. Pues bien, gracias por continuar con nosotros en la máquina deportiva PodCast, como siempre trayéndole protagonistas. Hoy tenemos a DJ LeMakinaDeportiva, que le pone música al día de hoy, la máquina deportiva PodCast.
DJ, after the great start the team got off to, are you kind of scratching your head as to how you guys have been able to go 5-15 over your last 20?
Yeah. It's just been a tough stretch. Can't point my finger at one thing. If we had the answers, we would have figured it out already. And it's just it's a tough stretch, and just got to keep battling. And this team's too good to hold down for too long.
Aaron Boone mentioned the at-bat quality today. What did you think overall of the team's at-bat quality?
I don't know. I thought we had some really good at-bats, and then, some opportunities there that we missed. And, like I said, it's just a bit how it's been going lately for us, and we just can't get that big hit, that big knock. And, like I said, we're too good. We're too good a team, and we all know it.
We'll take the next one from Christy Ackert.
Hey, DJ, what's it like to come to the ballpark today and have a meeting with Brian Cashman? What was the feeling like, when you come out of that meeting, and what was the tenor of what he said to you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I won't go into it too much, but basically that he had confidence in us and that he's behind us, and we wouldn't be here if he thought we couldn't get the job done. So, just wanted to lay it out there for us and get some stuff off his chest.
You've been around for a while. Has that happened often in your career where the GM has come in and addressed a team like that?
No, not really. Not maybe once or twice, but I thought it was a positive message.
Thank you.
Next one to Marley Rivera.
Hi, DJ. Do you believe that this team is missing a bit of the crowd energy?
Yeah, absolutely. But, it's the same for everybody. So, I'm not gonna go there, but, it's definitely a team that's, being somewhere else and then come to the Yankees, is definitely a different feeling taking the field as a Yankee. And, yeah, I mean, we don't have that energy, but, it's the same for everybody.
And DJ, obviously, Buffalo and the Blue Jays did the best they could with the situation they had. What are the biggest challenges of playing at Solon Field right now?
Nothing really. I mean, just that it's a park that I've never played at. A lot of guys haven't played at. But I think they've done a good job. I mean, the game feels the same. They've done a good job in the clubhouse. So, really, it's been good.
Thank you.
Next one goes to Brian Hoke.
Hey, DJ. You guys are back to 500 now. You haven't been there since the second game of the year. Does this feel like a 500 team to you?
No, but, right now I'm just not even worried about that right now. We just need to get some wins on the board and turn things around.
I guess, why does it not feel like a 500 team?
Any others for DJ? Go ahead, Brian.
I'm sorry?
I said, why does it not feel like a 500 team to you?
Because I feel like we're better than that. We're a better team than a 500 team, but that's where we're at. Like I said, we just can't even worry about that right now. We just got to take care of business.
Thank you, DJ.
Any others for DJ? DJ, thank you very much.
Yep, for sure.
En la palabra el DJ Lemegio, el DJ que le pone música al Bronx. Por otro lado, tenemos también al gerente general Brian Cashman, que muestra preocupación por la situación de los Yankees de Nueva York, por lo duro que están pasando el equipo en estos momentos. La preocupación de Brian Cashman, el gerente general.
That you addressed the team this afternoon. What did you hope to accomplish with that talk?
Every now and then, when I feel it's appropriate, I won't be afraid to gather the troops and have a discussion. So I took the opportunity to do that today. If it wasn't so windy, I would have done it yesterday if we could group gather easily. But we're in this tent, and the tent was flapping so much you wouldn't hear anything I could have said in this environment. But anyway, I took that opportunity today, just to go ahead and touch on a lot of different things. I was here obviously yesterday. I had some individual conversations that I got started, but that was it. I mean, it's obviously things that you want to touch on, and that's I took the opportunity to do so.
What was the general message?
Just remind them first and foremost that I believe in them. I put this club together with my staff, and everybody in that room is here for a reason. They came, whether it's either draft or international signings or trades or free agent acquisition, and they all were acquired for various reasons. To come together as a group, as a team for high expectations. And so reminding them of who they are and not that they don't know that, but sometimes, it's therapeutic at the very least for me is the leadership of baseball ops. And then, but separately, I think just making sure they know that, reminding them of where they got to get back to and who they are. And I've taken the opportunity to do that from time to time and see if it helps. Bottom line is, we're on our own. There's no help coming from anywhere, and the challenge is to find a way to get through this storm, and batten down the hatches and come out, on the other end with clear skies and sunny days ahead. But obviously that the work's got to be done now while the storm's upon us, and clearly we all know the storm's upon us. We haven't played well now for quite some time, and we all know we're capable of more, significantly more, both individually and collectively, and that responsibility starts obviously with me, and it filters all the way down through them and our staff. So anyway, just
yes. Do you remember the last time that you felt it was necessary to address the team, and how rare / common is it for you to do this?
I don't do it often, but I do it when I feel it's necessary. I usually, I'm known for speaking my mind, and I usually run to confrontation. And if there's a fire that's obviously brewing, or I'm going to go. Obviously run to the fire to put it out if I possibly can and deal with it instead of hope it goes away. And so, whether that's on an individual basis where you shut the door with whether it's a player or a staff member or whatever, or if it's a collective basis, whatever is needed, ultimately that's the job at hand. And you just try to run the problems when it calls upon you to do so. So when's the last time I've done it? I can't tell you when. In terms of a collective, a group setting, I clearly do it every spring training, to start things off. But when there's a in-season problem, I'll do it when it's necessary. And but it is rare when I have to, get the whole group together. But obviously, the circumstances that we find ourselves in right now are clearly rare too. It's not something that we're accustomed to having a slide like this that's occurred. Where we're used to better baseball than this. Our fans deserve better baseball than this. And so it's just try to get a shock to the system to get us back on track.
Now, obviously, there's a number of different things that have happened, whether it's injuries or bullpens underperformed, or, there's things you can point to. But if you're trying to, as the general manager, look at an overarching reason or problem that has resulted in this slide, do you feel like you have an answer for that? Do you think you have a general answer for why this is happening right now?
No, not anything. I think it, obviously when you find yourself as a team struggling, there's going to be a ton of reasons, and we've seemed to have come up with everyone under the sun to, as our games have played out here recently. Whether last night we scored clearly enough runs, but then the bullpen let us down. Obviously the defense seems to nick us here and there too, and it's costly when we add extra pitches to that either starting staff or the bullpen. We've had some base running mistakes. I mean, so I hold myself accountable as a front office executive. So I think we've had a little bit of everything that's transpired here, and baseball can be really humbling. There's no doubt about that, and so we've been humbled. But again, as the storm's upon us, no one's going to come. If you're out at sea, the Coast Guard's not coming to save us. We got to find a way to swim to shore and thrive and survive, and that's what this is all about. And I know that the character, this crew that we have, the makeup of this crew, I mean, extremely talented. They care a great deal. The effort's obviously there. The results haven't followed, but the touch points are basically making sure that their pregame routine checklist, their preparation process is still in play. And if you continue to apply the consistent process that served us well over the course of time, and all those things check off over the course of time, we can obviously get back on track. We just need it sooner than later in this shortened season. Obviously, in a 60-game sprint, there's no margin for error, whether you have injuries play a role or underperformance play a role, or in our case, that's both. And so we just have to navigate it ASAP, and so we have 19 to go, so it's time to go. And not that it wasn't time to go before, but clearly, we have to get back on track yesterday. And so, but I believe in these guys. They're they're here for a reason, and they've done it before many times for us, and they've stepped up and not surprised, but they belong together as this unit, and they have big goals. Clearly, we have big goals, and those goals are still in play. So despite how bad we've played of recent, our goal is still the same. And so obviously, hopefully, you got to crawl before you walk and walk before you run, and hopefully today we'll start that crawl back to success and get out of the spot we've placed ourselves in.
Thanks.
Next one to Brian Hoke.
Hey, Cash. The last time I remember you going on the road like this, it was 2009. You flew down to Atlanta, and the team was kind of scuffling. How similar is this circumstance and your message and what you said to the team?
I'm on the road, obviously, mostly here on the East Coast. So I usually, I'm usually with the team, whether it's Toronto, Boston, Baltimore, DC, obviously. So you find myself, Tampa Bay or Miami, whenever that's relevant. But so I'm usually not west of the Mississippi unless I have to be. Given the other responsibilities with this gig, which is a 12-month job, you got the amateur draft in June, and you got the international signings in July. It just never stops, and that's a good thing. But in terms of again, flying in to be with a team, I was planning to go to Buffalo regardless, but certainly with what's going on, it compels me to be here in Buffalo regardless also. And so I had full intentions of getting a feel for what's been transpiring a little bit, more on an intimate side here, getting some touch points with individual players yesterday. And I stay in touch with our staff and Booney, so and it's clear you watch how it's transpiring. It's, we've kind of we've found different ways in a very surprising fashion to put forth baseball that we're not accustomed to seeing by our team, and so I can't tell you about the 2009 situation because it was so long ago. I'd have to read the book to channel it, but bottom line is, in that case, the message was, this was a team that was better. In that case, it was a team that was better than the way they were playing for a 3-week period, and reminding them of how good they were and what the opposing teams think of them. And, in the offense's case back then, I know if I was a pitcher, I would have been scared to death to try to navigate that lineup. And we've got a little different thing going on here because we have some big guns that are down and out with injuries, but they're due to come back. But we certainly have guys capable of stepping up, and we certainly have players that are healthy that are obviously haven't performed up to their abilities, and so that's one aspect of one spoke in the wheel of many spokes that make up this team that's capable a lot. And but right now we've fallen short of that, and baseball can do that to you. But in a COVID season, you can't afford to have slumps last too long. You can't afford to have too many injuries stack up on you, and you certainly can't afford to feel down and out. And I want to make sure that I checked everybody's temperature and remind them of there's no chance for that. And I do believe strongly that this group isn't down and out, that they've got that bounce back capability. But we obviously got to go out there as a unit, and myself included, and prove that. So,
thanks for the book plug.
You got it.
Next one to Brendan Cuddy.
Hey, Cash, the message you detailed sounds very much like the one that Aaron has been pushing as well in these post games. Do you have any concern at all that the way the coaching staff is delivering the message, or the message itself, it just isn't getting across to players, and then that's why you needed to do it? Or does that concern you at all?
No, it doesn't. And I haven't been a part of Aaron's team meetings per se anyway, and I know what the messaging that I might convey to you as well as Booney to you might not necessarily match up the conversations that are happening obviously in private in the clubhouse, but no, I don't have any concerns of that. As I stated, whenever I do this, it's part therapeutic for myself because I need to do it, so I check that box of what should you be doing? What is, what leadership job responsibilities are in play here, and what's, you got to step out of your comfort zone and get in the middle of stuff, and so obviously it's not comfortable to go ahead and gather a crew together to have some tough conversations and share, put yourself out there. So you do it rarely, but when necessary, you have to. And even if it's a collective like it was today, or if it was individual private ones, that they're never comfortable either. But as I said, you have to run to a problem to try to fix the problem, and that's just a manifestation of it. It doesn't guarantee anything. At the very least, it guarantees that I check the box for myself. But the goal and the hope is obviously too that it maybe it impacts somebody in a positive way. I don't think the way I communicate is the same as the way Aaron Boone communicates, which isn't the same as whether it was Brett Gardner or Garrett Cole or any of those leaders in that clubhouse would communicate either. So I think. I think at the end of the day, there's a lot of different ways to try to drive home a message, and if any of them get impacting in a positive way, then it's worth taking the time to do so.
Thank you.
Got it. Take the next one from Lindsay Adler.
Hey, Cash. Moving Gary Sanchez to the bench for a couple days, that's not really a move we've seen you guys make over the last couple of years as he's struggled. Could you give us, your assessment on the season he's having, the ways defense has changed, and kind of what you're seeing from him at the plate?
On the defensive standpoint, been obviously very pleased with the progress that he's made with Tanner Swanson, and on the offensive standpoint, obviously that was the reason he got benched. Was we had not seen somebody with his capabilities struggle as badly as he had struggled of recent. So it was more of a timeout, clear his head, get after it with Marcus and PJ with less focus of having to obviously call a game the same day, and taking care of the defensive side of that side where he can really get into the drill work in the cage as well as the video work, so it frees up a little bit more time to get them, obviously to get a timeout and a little bit of a breather. Not something we want to do because you're talking about someone that's got great ability, but that was the decision that was made by obviously Aaron Boone and his staff, which I support. But at the same time, I got to take a step back because when you're so focused on what's going on in our environment, and then you start looking around the league and some of the premier players that are struggling so badly, it's there's a lot of company there. So I don't know, it's a unique season that we're all dealing with, and some are handling it better than others, but there's some people that are thriving that are unexpected, and there's certainly people you expect more from that are really struggling to get through it for whatever reason. I wish I had the reason why on that, but again, the job at hand, whether it's the manager or the hitting coach, or if it's a pitching coach, is to try to come up with different magic bullets that you need to shoot to try to jumpstart somebody to go back in the positive direction. And so hopefully, those 2 days off will benefit Gary and therefore us. I know the one thing that Gary's message essentially was internally was, I'm not going to get better if I'm not going to play. I need to fight through this. He knows, he's been struggling, but he also felt strongly the fact that I understand it's your decision to make as the manager to give me the timeout. But his message back essentially was, the only way I'm going to get through this is to fight through this by playing. And he wants to be all in and fight through it. And, certainly he's not proud of the results, but I think he has optimism and expectation that those results can change. I remember, there's a quote from Reggie Jackson back in the day that always resonated with me, and I've touched on it before, but, as long as you still have the bat in the hand, you can change the narrative. So if he was up the first 3 at-bats in the game and struck out, and everybody's getting ready to bury him for a poor performance, if he's got one more at-bat coming, he's still got that bat in the hand, he can change that narrative with one swing of the bat. By getting on the board and changing the game result by having some positive impact by swinging in his next opportunity. And so all Gary's looking for, despite the poor play, is an opportunity to fight through it. He's obviously going to get that, and we look forward to better days sooner than later from him, because we need it. And, he is someone that, if you turn the clock back not too long ago, he holds the all-time Yankee record in home runs, in a season. I think not once, but twice. I mean, there's a lot of legends that have played over here, and the offensive output that he's produced as a catcher in this storied franchise is pretty special and pretty remarkable. And it's not like he's turning 38 or anything of that nature that you think the gas tank is running low. It's all there. And so we got to find a way to tap back into that and calm him down and allow him to be, the best version of himself. And so I think that's what Marcus and PJ and Aaron Boone are trying to do. And that's obviously what he wants to do too. So hopefully that can start today, just like everybody else in this lineup too.
Next one goes to Marley Rivera.
Hey, Cash. One of the things in this game is that you don't live on reputation, right? You live on what you put out on the field. So what do you think that reminding your team of what they are can do?
I'm sorry, if you could repeat that last part. What remind the team? Can you unmute her?
Sorry, I unmuted because it was loud. So it's never about reputation, it's what you do on the field. So then reminding them, the team, of who they are and the talent who they are, what do you believe that can do?
I don't know. I mean, listen, at times talk is cheap and all that matters is the performance. But in reality, the time in between, you could either try to take in a productive way and as I said, run to the problem and try to deal with it and talk through it rather than pretend it's going to fix itself on its own. And so obviously today was a proactive day on that measure. There's a lot of steps in the process, before a day like today, from my perspective, comes into play. I don't, I have a lot of people involved that are obviously impacting our players in a positive way every day and trying to get them the max out their abilities. And this COVID season is obviously a uniquely different season in its own right, but I do know all that's taking place. And I also know teammate on teammate, holding each other accountable, recognizing that, hey, there might be a mechanical flaw a teammate picks up on whether it's a hitter or a pitcher or they might hear something across the league by somebody else that that's filtered through about them. So there's a lot of different ways a player can get, coached up and some sort of positive suggestion. Sometimes it comes obviously from their family members, their dads, their brothers, or their former college coaches, whoever. It doesn't really matter to me. What matters though is the fact that you're not afraid to engage, interact, and share and put yourself out there and then have that conversation. And hopefully it's one where it's a two-way street where you get some feedback and or pushback. It doesn't matter to me. It just, the collisions of information have to take place. Our fans are counting on this team to be, obviously all it's capable of being. And right now that hasn't happened. It happened when we got out of the gate, and we've lost our way here in the last 3 weeks. And, but we are still capable of being that team that everybody was really excited about, including ourselves not too long ago. And so we're just doing everything we can, pulling out all the stops to try to engage, in a real positive way to get these guys going. And in the end of the day, we'll see. We got a lot of competition ahead of us that's in our way, and we just got to do what we can to take care of business.
Hey, Cash, just a quick follow-up. Have you heard anything where you stand on the Chapman appeal?
Yeah, you know what? I haven't heard anything on the Chapman appeal. I know it's out of our jurisdiction. That's between Major League Baseball and the Players Association, so I'm sure it's on some docket along the way. And again, I don't even think we're a participant in that appeal process. It's really just the player and his agent. But I haven't heard of any date that's been scheduled. But clearly, it's got to be happening sooner than later, I would think.
Next one goes to George King.
Ryan, considering what's happened since the trade deadline, do you look back and say, maybe I should have done this, maybe I should have done that?
No. I mean, my answer to you on the trade deadline is I tried to do this and I tried to do that, but the way it played out, the opportunities didn't exist. And so the players that we tried to certainly import potentially could have been impactful for us. They did not get traded elsewhere. The price tags would have, as I think I shared with everybody on the trade deadline day, would have taken away some people that obviously are positively impacting this team as we speak right now. And it wasn't just a singular, it was multiples. And so I don't think if I did those deals, actually I would think we'd be worse off, not better off, despite how we're playing right now. But I guess to answer your question in two parts, would I want to improve this club via the trade deadline? Yes, that was the effort. But the opportunities that we had to turn away from and that I turned away from. I felt like those opportunities would have made things even worse because it would have taken away impactful players in the present as well as our future, and diminished the amount of choices that we currently are leaning on in that current locker room. So I didn't feel like I got the opportunity to do anything that I could do. So,
thank you.
We'll take the last two questions in queue. First from Sweeney Murdy.
Hey, Brian, all of your top relievers have struggled in the last couple of weeks here, and there are a lot of different reasons that can be true. They've had an unusual workload because of this season, and a lot of your leading relievers tend to work in situations where the crowd becomes involved, and that part is missing. But regardless of that, what gives you the confidence that they can return to the form you need them to for these last few weeks?
I mean, their capabilities. I mean, unless you're taken off the board as a Chesapeake like Thomas Canley was because of injury and removed from the competition, Chappie is still Chappie and Zach Britton is still Zach Britton, and obviously Greeny has been an elite setup man here the last number of years, and obviously Otto can get a right-hander out with the best of them, and so there's a lot of real positive choices, and so unfortunately, like last night, I think Aaron Boone moved the pieces all around to line things up to get we had a lead with getting to our high leverage guys, and obviously it's going to work or it's not going to work after that, and it didn't work out, unfortunately. So got to flush last night's game down, have a short memory, which relievers obviously do, and get back at it today and hope we can find ourselves in a similar circumstance and get a different result, because typically, when you get the ball into those type of caliber pitchers' hands, the results are going to go your way most of the time. But as we found here in the last 2.5 weeks or so, it hasn't worked out that way, to our surprise. Various reasons for it, I'm sure, but none of those matter. At the end of the day, it's feast or famine, get the job done or don't, because we're in a sprint, and so we got to, obviously figure that out, both collectively and individually. And but the capabilities and the ability and the talent, like, Greeny's throwing 97, 98 last night. They had some really quality at bats. And the first two guys walked, I think they were 10 pitch at bats off the top of my head and fighting off. But the stuff looked, obviously tremendous. And unfortunately for us, their guys found a way to get to our guys. But I look forward to being in that position again sooner than later and see if the results will be different.
Thank you.
Thanks, Winnie.
Let me take a final one from Christy Acker.
Hi, Brian. I just wanted to be clear. You said there's no help coming, but that doesn't include Stanton and Judge and Paxton. You're still expecting them back at some point in this regular season, correct?
Yeah, but they're not helping us right now. So, yeah, but I meant from outside the organization, or even, it's like the Scranton shuttle or something like that. But no, the players we have on the IL, like a Stanton and a Judge, they are due back. But it's not coming today. So we got to figure it out with the 25 that we have active right now, or 28 that we have active right now.
Do you worry that maybe, you've gone through this before, but maybe sometimes players wait for that help to come back, those injured players to come back?
No, I'm not. I mean, if you're asking if it's possible that our guys are just kind of like, they'll come back and, they're just kind of taking the present for granted. No, I mean, I know when each one of these players are in their position to compete, whether it's a position player against a pitcher or if you're a pitcher against the opposing team's hitters and stuff, they obviously want to excel and do great and be impactful on behalf of their teammate and their team. And so I don't think anybody's, looking for them right now. They're looking for each other to do the job at hand. And that's all you can focus on. We're unfortunately been used to guys going down and being depleted with injuries. And we've also found ways to deal with that and still, compete at a high level. So I don't think that's ever crept into any of our players or staff's minds of, those guys are coming down the line and they'll be riding in with a white hat on. No, that's not, that's not what we're looking for. We're dealing with. They're due back at some point, and it'd be nice, obviously, if it was today, but it's not. And so they're kind of out of sight, out of mind that way. They're in the medical rehab protocols, doing what they're supposed to be doing to get back online at the time frame that's hopefully proper. And but in the meantime, our complete focus is on what we have here that's available to us.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Brian, thank you very much.
Thanks.
La tienda deportiva número 1 de todo New York, con la mercancía de los equipos dominicanos de béisbol y de softball. Peligro Sport. En Peligro Sport encontrarás una selección completa de artículos de tu equipo favorito: bates, pelotas, guantes, guantillas y todas las gorras de los equipos de béisbol, camisetas, chaquetas con tu nombre bordado, y además tenemos collares de balance de todos los equipos y mucho más. Todo lo que tú quieras lo consigues en Peligro Sport. Estamos ubicados en el 2200 de Amsterdam Avenue, en Manhattan, con el teléfono 212-568-0222. Eso es 212-568-2222. Peligro Sport.
Resultados con Francisco Rijo desde República Dominicana. Adelante, Rijo. Bienvenido, hermano mío. Saludos.
Muy buenos días a todos los amigos que están escuchando este podcast deportivo. Inmediatamente vamos a entrar con los resultados de Grandes Ligas, del mejor béisbol. El equipo de los Millers de Minnesota derrotó a los Cardenales de San Luis 7-3 en 7 entradas. En el segundo encuentro, los Cardenales de San Luis derrotaron al equipo de Minnesota 6-4. Ganó Cabrera 3-1. Perdió Donahan 6-3. Salvado para Gallego, el número 4. El equipo de los Phillies de Filadelfia derrotó al equipo de los Medias Rojas de Boston 6-5 en 7 entradas. Ganó Héctor Neris, perdió Barner. En el segundo choque, los Medias Rojas de Boston derrotaron al equipo de Filadelfia 5-2. Ganó Massa, perdió Herb 2-4. Salvado para Wader. El equipo de los Nacionales de Washington derrotó al equipo de Tampa Bay 5-5. Ganó Aníbal Sánchez 2-4. Perdió Jasper 0-3. Salvado para Hudson. El equipo de los Royals de Kansas City derrotó al equipo de Cleveland 8-6. Ganó Holland 3-0. Perdió Siever 0-1. Salvado para Barlow. El equipo de los Atléticos de Oakland derrotó 4-2 en 7 entradas al equipo de los Astros de Houston. Ganó Montaz. Qué buena temporada está teniendo este lanzador dominicano, aunque el récord tiene un récord de 3-3 con una efectividad de 5.73, pero eso se debió a un partido que le hicieron 10 carreras. Perdió Zach Greinke 3-1. Salvado para Hendrich. El equipo de los Astros de Houston derrotó al equipo de los Atléticos de Oakland en el segundo choque 5-4. Ganó Paredes, perdió Waker, salvado para Presley. El equipo de los Blue Jays de Toronto derrotó a 2-1 al equipo de los Yankees de Nueva York. El equipo de los Yankees se aleja de la clasificación. Piratas 5, Guaysó 4, final, ganó Rodríguez, perdió Lerker con 1-1. El equipo de los Orioles, ¿quién lo diría que el equipo de los Orioles está metido en la clasificación con récord de 21? 11-2 al equipo de los New York Mets. Atención, O'Neill Batista, la máquina. Detroit, 8-3 al equipo de los Cerveceros de Milwaukee. Marlin por la vía de la blanqueada, 8-0 al equipo de los Bravos. Ganó Sánchez, perdió Wright. Texas derrotó al equipo de los Angelinos de Anaheim 7-1. ¿Cuánta inversión ha hecho el equipo de los Angelinos de Anaheim y todavía no termina de arrancar? 3-0 al equipo de los Cubs, le ganó al equipo de los Rojos de Cincinnati. Ganó Mike, perdió Hams, salvado para Jeffrey. 14-5 el equipo de los Padres de San Diego vence al equipo de los Rockies de Colorado. Ganó Clavinger 2-2, perdió González 0-1. Los Dodgers 10-9 el equipo de Arizona Diamondback. Ganó Jensen, perdió López. Ya un partido más tarde, San Francisco 6-5 al equipo de los Marineros de Seattle. Inmediatamente nos vamos a las posiciones, a ver cómo van las posiciones en Grandes Ligas. En la Liga Americana, Tampa, señores, 28-15. Toronto, 24-18. White Sox en la Central, 26-16. Cleveland, 26-16. Están empatados. Minnesota con 27-18. En el oeste, Oakland está dominando cómodo, 25-15. Muy de cerca el equipo de los Astros de Houston, 22-21. En el viejo circuito, Atlanta está dominando la división del oeste, 24-18. Muy de cerca del equipo de los Phillies de Filadelfia, con 21-18. En la Liga Central, Chicago White Sox está dominando cómodo, 25-18. Seguido de San Luis con 18-17. Esa división está muy pegada. Los Dodgers 31-12, el mejor récord de toda la liga. 31-12, seguido de San Diego con 27-17. Ahora mismo los equipos que están clasificados, los Yankees, están en el 8º lugar en la pelea por la postemporada. Para mí fue un placer haber estado con ustedes en el día de hoy. Espero que disfruten. Cualquier sugerencia me la pueden saber por mi cuenta de Twitter, @rijo3030. Para mí un placer estar con ustedes.
Uno ubicado en el 2257 de la Segunda Avenida y calle 116 en el corazón del barrio, y el otro en el 1618 de San Nicolás y calle 191 en el centro del Alto Manhattan. En los nuevos Calidad Restaurant disfrutará de un menú variado y económico, y a la vez puede apreciar un museo de béisbol con fotos históricas. En los nuevos Calidad Restaurant tenemos delivery gratis. Visítelos hoy.
Para enterarte de deporte y mucho más, www.LaMakinaDeportiva.com.
Máquina Deportiva también le pone toque femenino. Ahora nos llega desde República Dominicana Magdalena Soler con el básquetbol.
Hola mis amigos, con victoria de 103-94, Miami Heat elimina a Milwaukee, asegurando así la clasificación a la final del Este. Cabe recordar que debido a la lesión en el tobillo derecho de Giannis al inicio del cuarto partido, no pudo actuar en lo que fue el último partido de Milwaukee. Por otro lado, Los Ángeles Lakers siguen demostrando por qué son los Lakers, derrotando a Houston 112-102 con una gran actuación de Rey LeBron James con 36 puntos, 7 rebotes y 5 asistencias, liderando así el triunfo ante Houston. Esto fue todo por hoy. Continúe con su programa La Máquina Deportiva.
Haber estado con nosotros, hemos llegado a la parte final del programa La Máquina Deportiva PodCast. Gracias a los invitados en el día de hoy, al DJ de México, al igual que el gerente general de los Yankees de Nueva York, Brian Cashman. Crédito para Francisco Rijos desde República Dominicana, al igual que Magdalena Soler con la NBA. La invitación queda abierta para La Máquina Deportiva PodCast.